besos, 3 pesos. Aún así que no te olvidé, no te olvidé. Llama de ayer, sigue aquí. Welcome back to Tanny D TV Magazine. Yes, I am your host, Tanny D, and here with DJ Ruben accompanying us today. I have an amazing guest. We're here with our awesome drinks that our health and wellness strategist made for us. Thank you, Shari. Now our next guest is Miss Melissa Bretz. And Melissa is a therapist for the Lutz Counseling Services.
Yes.
Wonderful. You are the founder as well.
I am.
Wonderful. Tell us about it.
Well, I just opened my practice in October, so it's a fairly new.
Empowering women. Woohoo!
Thank you. And I am the owner, the founder. Yes. And just opened in October. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I focus on doing therapy with children, as well as the teenagers and the families and the adults. Anything from anxiety to depression to behavioral issues to just maybe some transitional issues, maybe a move or family going through divorce. Those are the types of things that I specialize in.
Wonderful. So, you know, were you a social worker before and then decided to start and found your own counseling services company?
Yes. So I was working at another practice prior to opening my own practice. And so I've been in the area. I'm very familiar with the different therapy techniques that we do.
Awesome. So you said you're in Lutz, right?
Yes.
And that's Central Florida for everybody. I will have your information here. Tell me a little bit about, you know, I know that the kids nowadays are having so many influences from the media. What's happening in our world nowadays?
Yes.
You know, the kids that were brought up 20 years ago are not facing the same you know, situations that we're facing now. We have the internet, the cell phones, which is totally different. Our parents nowadays don't know because this is a new situation. This is all new for us. We're in this cyber millennial type of movement. Tell me a little bit about, you know, what type of kids you see. What are the biggest, you know, the biggest issues that we have in our families that you might think, you know, are trending?
Okay, sure, Tanny. So a lot of the different children that I see, there's some ADHD, some anxiety is very common, as well as depression, some conflicts with the teenagers coping with their parents and the rules. That's a big thing because as a teenager, you're right in that middle stage where you're in between. You're not quite an adult yet, but you're not a child. So there's lots of conflicts that can happen with the teenagers and their parents. So I focus a lot on helping them communicate effectively with one another.
Is there any way to see these things trending from the very early ages, or is it normally when you turn to a certain teenage year that age that you realize that, you know, these things are affecting the family?
I think it happens prior to becoming a teenager, but it's most prominent when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
If you want to be proactive, definitely come in and make sure that your children, even at a younger age, are able to communicate and understand rules as a family.
Awesome. I know that sometimes with minorities as well, and I see that more because, you know, I'm, you know, Spanish and also Black. We tend to hide these things. Do you see that a lot? Because we don't, no, we don't go to counseling. You know, how would you tell a father or a mother, you know, let's go to counseling. This is going to work out for us for the better as a family. Sometimes the fathers will say, no, I definitely not going. How do you cope with that when you have to have that conversation with the parents?
Well, and that's very common that you bring that up. It's with any family as well. I've seen mostly men. That's really hard for
mostly men, right?
Yes, it's very hard for them to come. But I think it's also their perception of what they think counseling is. Once they get in there, it's not the talk, oh, you need to do this, you do that. No, you just talk freely. And you have a third party non-biased view here to tell you, hey, well, have you thought about this? Or maybe you can try this. So it's not, I think people have the wrong perception.
Definitely. I think it's always good to have that conversation with a third party, even if there's any type of conflict. Definitely there. So tell us about what are the techniques. I know that you were telling me about some awesome techniques that you have that you wanted to share with us. What is the one that you definitely want to bring up?
Well, I wanted to share an anxiety technique. I know everyone can have anxiety from time to time when they're nervous or they're just in their head and they can't get out of their head. So one of the things I wanted to teach you guys today was a grounding technique. And grounding is one of those techniques where it gets us to focus on our present moment, where we're not in the future, we're not in the past, we're just in the moment. So one of the ways that we would do that is we could look around the room and we could find a certain color of things, maybe a color of things that are in the room that are red, or things that we can touch. We can feel the texture of our clothes, or the focusing on our breathing. Those are our grounding techniques.
Magnificent. So how long does it take for the therapy to for the length of the therapy? How long do you normally?
Our therapy sessions run from 45 to 50 minutes usually.
Perfect. So for how many years, or is it like depending on the patient or the kid or the family? Does it extend?
Yeah, it depends. It definitely depends. Sometimes there's just life transitions that happen and they might come for a couple months, or maybe they're in crisis, they have a few sessions and then they're good, or there might be some long-term therapy going on depending on what the issue is. If there's trauma, that tends to take longer.
Perfect. Give us your phone number. We definitely want to make sure that we can contact you if we have any questions. We want to find out, is this my situation? What is a good number to contact you? Do you have an Instagram that we can follow you at? If we want to definitely have that conversation in schools, I don't know.
Sure.
We might want to get in contact with you, Melissa.
So my phone number is 813-586-0956.
Good. And you want to repeat it again?
Sure.
And we'll have it on the bottom.
813-586-0956.
Instagram. Do you have an Instagram page for Lutz
I have a
Counseling?
website. So it's lutzcounseling.com.
Perfect, great. I want to thank you so much for coming here. I know you've been here for the whole day, and I wish that we'll have you again for another therapy or another type of definitely other dynamics here. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Tanny. It was a pleasure.